everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Cubica AMF Tech Tip Podcast. This is the weekly podcast where we take you on a journey through the fascinating world of bowling technology and beyond. As always, I'm your host, Orly, and we have returning guest, David J. David J., welcome back to the show.
Hey, Orly. Thank you. It's always a pleasure.
And David J. is a Max training specialist. And David, if you just want to give a quick breakdown on what that entails.
Our Max training team handles both virtual and on-site training for new centers, upgrading centers, and we also handle any requests for additional consultation. But that's, in a nutshell, that's what our team does.
All right. And today I know a subject that was brought up was cleaning up price keys. And you're going to go into some more detail about what that means. In my head, I guess, right off the top of my head, what I'm thinking is maybe just, getting them in order. Because something I saw happen at the center I was at was, we have this nice Cubica, pricing in our POS, and it was all nice when they came and helped us set it up. And then, a year down the road, people learned how to add price keys, and there was drinks on the food page and food on this page, and it was just a mess. I'll let you kind of get into what clean up price keys is all about.
Generally, when we start thinking about cleaning up price keys, we're talking about when you go in and you look at your department structure, you look at all of these price keys that you have, and you think, what is that price key? What is that there for? I didn't even remember I had that price key. That's more of cleaning up price keys, as opposed to organizing your POS, which is more like what you're talking about. We go in and make price keys, and they just appear in the POS, and we're not really sure why. And that's a discussion for another day.
All right.
So when we start talking about cleaning up price keys and going over some best practices for that, one thing that I hear all the time from customers is that they're afraid to delete price keys because they think that it's going to affect their reporting. And something to remember in Conqueror is once you have used a price key, even if you delete it from your department structure, that price key and that sale is always going to remain in your historical reports.
Okay.
Doesn't matter whether you've deleted it or not. As long as you don't delete it the same day you used it, you're in good shape. So, and I hear that all the time. Oh, I was afraid to delete price keys. Some reasons that we end up in a situation where we see all these price keys that we don't really understand or remember even. We add price keys over the years as just like a one-off. Oh my gosh, I've got this special group in and I gave them a special price and I need a price key. I need a way to turn on the lanes or take money or whatever it might be. So it's that one-off that we see, and we've never used them again. Another one would be a seasonal price key. And when I say seasonal, think Christmas, New Year's, Thanksgiving, but also think like school groups. And I've got something that I do every year for spring break, something like that. Another would be a special event, which is kind of like the one-off price key, where I do something for a fundraiser that I gave a special price to. And then the last one would be, we see price keys that I didn't really know how to change my pricing, and it was easier for me just to make a new price key. So I have I went up on my pricing a year and a half ago, and instead of just going in and using the same price key and changing that rate, I just made another price key and have a similar name for it, or I put a special character at the end of it or whatever. So now my price key list is just blowing up. Now, those are most of the reasons that we see things like this happening. One of the things that can help you in those scenarios, when you talk about seasonal price keys, the Thanksgiving break, the Christmas break, the New Year's Eve package, those type of things that we're going to use for a specific date range and then never use them again for the year. that 2-week Christmas break where we built a special kids rate just for that 2 weeks. Instead of going in and deleting those or creating new ones next year, keep the same price key and then just adjust the applicability of that price key to specific dates.
Okay.
Then all you have to do each year is remember to go in and change those applicable dates from last year to this year. So that's one way to keep those numbers of price keys down for your seasonals. The next question becomes, how do I know what I'm using? How do I know what all these price keys are? How do I figure out whether this is a price key that I've even used in the last 6 months or a year? And that's where one of our statistical reports comes into play. And I always recommend going to the what's hot, what's not statistical report and going in and setting your filters. I want to know what price keys I've used for whatever date range I want to search. The last 3 months, the last 6 months, the last year, whatever you want to know. And then once you do that, you can choose the department. We don't want to see all the price keys at one time. I'm not looking at going through a list of 150, 200, 300 price keys. I want to only see my bowling price keys. Or it doesn't have to be bowling. It can also be food and beverage. This is a great way to figure out what's selling and what's not selling. And that's basically what we're looking to do. So I would filter by bowling. And then we can also filter by dollars or by count. So okay. I want to know, I don't really care what my value of these price keys is. I want to know how many times I sold this price key, how many times I used it. Once we get that report, now we can go through and it's sorted by count. So I'm not really concerned about the things at the top. What I want to do is go to the bottom and say, okay, I haven't used this price key in the last 6 months. Except for one time. What the heck is this price key? Why do I have it? And then we can make decisions about what we want to do with those price keys. Again, if it was, for instance, we sorted, this is the end of January, and I want to know what I used in December, I might see a New Year's or a Christmas special. And those price keys maybe I keep, but now I can go and say, oh, I can change the applicability of this price key right now, so that it's not something that I forget when I want to use it again, and I don't understand why it's not showing up in my POS.
Gotcha.
So that's how I would recommend you go in and figure out what price keys you're actually using. And then, as I said before, don't be afraid to delete price keys because you think it's going to affect your reporting. It's not going to affect your reporting. You can go in and delete in any way you'd like. Now, once I delete price keys, I go through the same process when I delete price keys as when I create price keys. I want to do what I say, make my POS look pretty, which is where what you brought up at the beginning comes in.
Okay.
Where you can go into setup and POS setup again, and then look at your POS layout. Just always remember that when you create price keys, they will always be added at the end of your POS layout page. Conqueror doesn't recognize all the blank spots when we make things look pretty. In the same way, when we delete, Conqueror is not going to shrink everything and back things up and fill in blank spaces that we've made. So always go in and look at your POS layout. And if you've deleted several things, maybe this is a great time to go in and make it look pretty again.
Okay. And about how often would you say it's best to go in there and kind of clean this up?
So my recommendation usually follows the bowling calendar. So after I've started in September, August, September is usually a time that we see prices change.
Okay.
Also after major holidays. So I would always go in at the beginning of August, beginning of September, and then I would go in around Thanksgiving because that's when I'd be looking at making my Christmas and New Year's and holiday pricing. And then again at the first of the year, to clean up all those things that I made during those holidays. So, basically 3 times a year.
Okay. All right. Well, I appreciate you coming on today. As always, you always have a lot of great information. I'm sure this is going to help some people out, because like you said, sometimes you start to think like, what are these price keys even from? Or, and then if they're scared to delete them, like you said, then they're just going to have a whole bunch of stuff they don't need. So yeah, I appreciate you coming on. And as always, everyone, if anyone is new to the show, make sure you're going back and listen to past episodes. David's been on the show plenty of times. We've had other trainers and just a lot of people that are here to help. So make sure you go back, listen to those episodes, share them with whoever might get some help from them. And until next time, David J., we appreciate your time, and we will talk to everyone soon.
Always a pleasure. Thank you.